The streets of Lomé, Togo, are burning again. Tires in flames, youths running, chanting, dodging tear gas. A regime terrified of its own people is cracking down with brute force. But this time, the fear isn't with the protesters, it's with the president. Faure Gnassingbé, the man who inherited power from his father 19 years ago, has just rewritten the constitution to stay in power indefinitely. The constitutional reforms eliminate presidential term limits entirely, replacing them with a parliamentary system where the president would be elected by lawmakers rather than the people. And the people? They've had enough. This isn't just about a constitution. It's about a dynasty that refuses to die. Togo has been ruled by the same family since 1967. That's nearly 6 decades of one name, one face, one grip tightening around the throat of an entire nation. First, it was Gnassingbé Eyadema in 1967. He seized power in a coup and ruled with an iron fist for 38 years. When he died, his son Faure didn't wait for elections. He inherited the presidency like a crown passed down in a royal family. And since 2005, Faure Gnassingbé has sat at the top, reshaping laws, rigging votes, silencing dissent, all to extend a dynasty that refuses to die. The government claims the changes will strengthen democracy, but few are buying it. The streets tell a different story, one of growing desperation and fury. Security forces have responded with brutal force. Live ammunition has been reported in several cities. At least a dozen protesters have been killed since the demonstrations began, though human rights groups believe the real number is much higher. The internet has been repeatedly shut down, a now familiar tactic to disrupt organizing efforts. Journalists have been arrested, opposition leaders hauled in for questioning, but this time, the crackdown isn't working like it used to. The protests keep growing, drawing in not just the usual opposition supporters, but ordinary citizens who've never demonstrated before. We're tired of being afraid, says a university student in Sokoday. They think they can keep ruling forever, but we won't let them. And where is the world? Silent. The same international powers that preach democracy are watching a young population rise up and doing nothing. African Union, ECOWAS, they all know what's happening. They see the blood on the streets. They read the reports. But as long as Faure keeps the market stable, keeps the French companies comfortable, they will look away, just like they did when his father crushed the opposition in the 90s. Just like they did when Faure rigged the elections in 2005, 2010, 2015, and 2020. But something is different now. The internet is buzzing. Youth from every corner of the country are mobilizing, not just physically, but digitally. Hashtags are flying. Live streams are exposing the truth. The regime can block roads, but it cannot block the truth. It cannot block the spirit of a generation that is no longer afraid. Togo's youth know they're not alone. From Burkina Faso to Senegal, young Africans are rising. They are tired of old men clinging to power like parasites. They are tired of being told to wait for change, wait for peace, wait for jobs. They are done waiting. They are taking their future with bare hands. What makes this moment different? Analysts point to several factors. The economic situation has deteriorated badly, with inflation making basic goods unaffordable for many. A new generation of Togolese, connected to the world through social media, is less willing to accept the old ways. And across West Africa, there's growing impatience with leaders who refuse to leave power. The regional bloc ECOWAS has issued its usual calls for dialogue, but taken no real action. International attention has been muted, with the world focused on bigger crises elsewhere. That leaves Togolese to fight this battle largely alone. As the standoff continues, both sides are digging in. The government shows no sign of backing down, while protesters vow to stay in the streets until the constitutional changes are reversed. With tensions this high, many fear the situation could spiral into something far worse. One thing is clear: Togo has reached a turning point. Either the Gnassingbé dynasty finds a way to maintain its grip, or the country experiences its first real transfer of power in nearly 60 years. The coming weeks will decide which path Togo takes, and whether the bloodshed stops or escalates. In the smoky streets of Lomé, amid the chants and clashes, history is being written. not by politicians in parliament, but by ordinary people who've decided they've had enough. The question now is whether their voices will be heard or drowned out by gunfire and repression. The world may not be watching closely, but in Togo, everyone feels the weight of this moment. It's more than politics. It's about the future of a nation that's been trapped in the past for far too long. However this ends, Togo will never be the same. The protests continue day after day. The government's response grows harsher, and with each passing hour, the stakes get higher. This isn't just another political crisis. It's a reckoning decades in the making. And reckoning, as Togo is learning, can't be postponed forever. Every arrest only fuels more rage. Every bullet makes another martyr. And Faure, no matter how many uniforms he surrounds himself with, cannot stop the wave. His regime is cracking. The fear he ruled with is now turning against him. This is the last dance of a dying dictatorship, and the world needs to know it is the youth who are leading the resistance. Poor, unemployed, underestimated, but powerful. Not because they hold weapons, but because they hold the truth, because they have nothing left to lose. To the people of Togo, the world may be silent, but your voice is being heard. Keep marching, keep shouting, keep rising. You are not alone. The chains of the past are breaking, and the future belongs to those who refuse to be ruled. In fact, it may just be beginning. And like all great stories, this one will be written not in parliament chambers or presidential palaces, but in the streets, by people who've decided they won't be silenced anymore. Togo's moment of truth has arrived. What happens next will echo for generations.